Let me tell you something that might shake your soul a little. You are living beneath your potential. Not because you're lazy, not because you're not smart, but because you've allowed comfort to become your cage and convenience to become your calling. And today, that stops. Comfort is a silent killer. It creeps in quietly, disguised as peace, as rest, as reward. At first, it feels good, warm, familiar, safe. It whispers to you that you've done enough, that it's okay to pause, that you deserve to coast. And while rest has its place, comfort unchecked becomes the very thing that holds you back from your greatness. It doesn't announce its arrival. It just slowly replaces your hunger with hesitation, your drive with doubt, and your ambition with apathy. You start to take longer to begin your day. You push tasks to tomorrow that you know should be done today. You settle for good enough when something inside you knows you were built for excellence. Comfort tricks you. It convinces you that you're okay with average, that you can live without more, that maybe your dream was too big to begin with. But the truth is, it's not your dream that was too big, it's your discipline that's too small. You can't reach a high place with a low level of commitment. People don't fail because they lack talent, they fail because they stop pushing when it gets hard. And most of the time, that failure is wrapped in the lie of comfort. I'm not ready. It's not the right time. I'll start tomorrow. Those are not reasons, those are comfort's excuses, carefully dressed up to sound like wisdom. Every time you choose ease over effort, you build another wall around your potential. You shrink your capacity to handle pressure. You train yourself to retreat instead of rise. And eventually, you forget what it feels like to fight for your future. You lose the fire that once burned inside you. Discipline, on the other hand, is not flashy. It doesn't give you the same instant gratification that comfort does, but it gives you something far more powerful: progress. It may feel boring, it may feel hard, but discipline delivers what comfort promises and never fulfills: growth, strength, and real peace. Discipline shows up when the motivation fades. It steps in when your feelings fail. Discipline doesn't care how tired you are. It doesn't ask how you feel. It simply demands that you show up and do the work, because discipline knows the work works, whether you feel like it or not. While comfort looks like love, discipline is love, real love. The kind that holds you to a higher standard, that forces you to rise, that stretches you even when it hurts. Discipline doesn't let you quit on yourself. It reminds you of who you are and who you were created to be. Comfort keeps you stuck in the past. Discipline launches you into your future. One keeps you where it's safe, the other takes you where it's sacred. And the most dangerous thing about comfort is that it's addictive. Once you settle into it, breaking out feels like punishment, even when it's freedom. The real enemy of purpose isn't pain, it's pleasure with no purpose. It's the kind of pleasure that numbs your potential, that makes you okay with repeating the same day over and over again, calling it a life. But deep down, you know that life was never meant to be a loop. You were meant to level up. People admire the results of the discipline, but they rarely see the pain behind it. The missed parties, the late nights, the early mornings, the silent sacrifices, the invisible battles. Discipline is forged in the dark, long before it ever shines in the light. And discipline is not a gift, it's a choice. It's not given, it's grown. And the good news is, you don't have to feel ready to be disciplined. You just have to start. You don't need to have it all together. You just need to take the first step, and then the next, and then the next. Discipline is built by doing, not by dreaming. Comfort makes you a prisoner to your emotions. Discipline makes you a master of your destiny. Comfort listens to how you feel. Discipline listens to what you said you were going to do. And every time you keep your word to yourself, you build integrity, confidence, and momentum. We all have two voices inside of us. One says rest, the other says rise. One says later, the other says now. And whichever voice you listen to becomes your future. Discipline helps you choose the voice that leads to elevation, not elimination. You were not created to coast. You were created to climb. Comfort will always try to convince you to settle at the bottom of the mountain. But discipline is what makes you put one foot in front of the other, even when the top is still out of sight. And let me be clear, discipline is not punishment. It's preparation. It's the training ground for your breakthrough. It's the path to power. Every time you choose it, you sharpen your skills, strengthen your spirit, and stretch your capacity. The person who is disciplined wins, not because they never struggle, but because they never stop. They show up when it's hard. They stay when it's tempting to quit. They push when everyone else pauses. That's how greatness is made. Not in the moments of glory, but in the grind nobody sees. Comfort says you've done enough. Discipline says you're just getting started. Comfort wants you to believe success is for others. Discipline dares you to believe it's yours. And while comfort will always be the easy choice, it will never be the right one if you're chasing something extraordinary. Excellence is not an event. It's not something you stumble into by chance or luck. It's not a moment of genius that comes out of nowhere. Excellence is crafted day by day, decision by decision, action by action. It's forged in the daily grind, in the repetition, in the consistency that most people overlook. The truth is, you don't wake up excellent. You build yourself into it over time. The world celebrates results, but it often ignores the routine. What they call talent is usually just commitment practiced long enough to look effortless. Excellence isn't flashy, it's usually invisible. It's hidden in the early mornings, the late nights, the moments when you choose to work while others are resting. The problem is too many people are waiting for inspiration to hit them like lightning. They think they'll be great when the moment arrives. But what they don't realize is the moment doesn't make you, it reveals you. And if you haven't built anything in the dark, there's nothing to show in the light. Excellence doesn't visit the unprepared. It's not about perfection. It's about progress, intentional, disciplined progress. Every day you have the opportunity to move closer to mastery or further into mediocrity. Every choice matters. Every habit compounds. The small things you do when nobody is watching determine the big results everyone will eventually see. Excellence is not a personality trait. It's a pattern. It's a lifestyle. It's built into the way you think, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself. It's not limited to athletes or artists or entrepreneurs. It's for anyone who decides to hold themselves to a higher standard every single day, no matter what. There's no elevator to excellence. There's no shortcut. There's no easy route. It's a climb. A slow, steady, sometimes painful climb. And most of the time, there's no applause, no recognition, just you in the mirror, just you and your habits, just you and the quiet battle between who you are and who you're becoming. People often want the fruit, but they don't want to plant the seed. They want the spotlight without the struggle. They want to shine without having to suffer. But the truth is, excellence is expensive. It costs time. It costs energy, it costs sacrifice, and only those willing to pay the price can afford to wear the crown. Every day you show up and give your best, even when it doesn't feel like it's working, you're building something that cannot be taken from you. Excellence becomes who you are, not just what you do. It becomes your baseline, your standard, your identity. The danger is that average is always available, it's always an option, and it's always easier. Excellence will never force itself on you. You have to choose it. You have to chase it. You have to be committed to the process, even when the progress is invisible. Because the work you do in private always shows up in public. Most people want the outcome, but not the outlay. They want the gain without the grind. But true excellence is for those who are willing to do it daily, especially on the days they don't feel like it. Emotion cannot lead you. Discipline must. Otherwise, your potential becomes nothing more than a forgotten possibility. You don't train for the days you feel good. You train for the days you feel weak. You train for the pressure. You train for the uncertainty. Because excellence isn't just about execution. It's about endurance. It's about showing up over and over again until excellence becomes your default. People often look at the successful and say, they were born for this. But what they don't see is that behind every master is a history of mistakes, missteps, and massive commitment. They built themselves with 1,000 invisible decisions, not one big breakthrough, but thousands of tiny ones that stacked up over time. The secret is in the system. Excellence is built by the systems you commit to, not the spurts of energy you occasionally apply. You don't need more hype, you need more habits. You need a routine that keeps you accountable even when your feelings fade and your will gets weak. Excellence is not a destination you reach, it's a posture you adopt. It's not somewhere you arrive, it's something you embody. You live it in the way you walk into a room, in the way you approach your work, in the way you treat people, in the way you respond to pressure. It becomes your character, not just your performance. What you do daily determines what you become permanently. You cannot escape the law of consistency. You either use it to build or you let it break you. If your daily actions are average, your long-term results will be as well. But if your daily actions reflect excellence, greatness becomes inevitable. People may not notice what you do every day, but time does. Time reveals the ones who prepared. Time exposes the ones who built. Time rewards the ones who showed up when others gave up. And time never lies. It always tells the truth about who did the work and who didn't. Excellence isn't loud. It's not showy. It doesn't have to prove itself. It speaks through the results, through the transformation, through the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you gave your best when nobody else would. That's the kind of excellence that can't be bought. It has to be earned, one day at a time. You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to have the best connections. You don't even need to start with much. But if you choose to do the hard things daily, if you choose to be consistent, disciplined, and intentional, you can build a life that reflects excellence in everything you touch. Motivation feels good. It's that electric rush that surges through you when you hear a powerful message, see an inspiring story, or get excited about a new goal. It makes you believe anything is possible for a moment. But the truth is, motivation is fleeting. It's emotional fuel, and like all emotions, it comes and goes. If you rely on motivation alone, you'll be inconsistent, unreliable, and easily derailed the moment life gets difficult. Discipline, on the other hand, is solid. It's stable. It doesn't rise and fall with your emotions. It doesn't need permission to act. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. It's not about hype, it's about habit. It's the internal agreement you make with yourself that no matter how you feel, you're going to follow through. People often wait for motivation to strike before they start working on their goals. They think they need to be inspired to take action, but motivation is a byproduct of action, not the cause of it. Discipline is what gets you moving. And once you start moving, that motion can create momentum, But if you sit still, waiting to feel right, you'll stay stuck. Discipline is stronger than desire. There will be days when you don't feel inspired. There will be mornings when you wake up tired, distracted, overwhelmed. And in those moments, motivation won't show up to rescue you. That's when discipline steps in. Discipline says, we do this anyway. Discipline says, we honor the commitment, not the mood. The world teaches you to follow your feelings, to trust your heart, to go with your gut, but feelings are fickle. They change with the weather, with your energy, with your environment. Discipline is not moved by mood. It operates independently of emotion. It follows instruction, not inspiration. When you build your life around discipline, you become unshakable. You show up regardless of the storm. You keep working when others are wavering. You stay consistent when others are consumed by comfort. And over time, that consistency compounds. It builds character. It builds credibility. It builds result. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not sexy. It doesn't always feel good in the moment. But it produces something that motivation never can. Trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your word, trust in your process. When you know you'll follow through, even on your worst days, you become powerful beyond measure. The reason most people fail isn't because they lack goals, it's because they lack follow through. And follow through is a discipline issue. Anyone can write a vision board, anyone can make a plan, but only the disciplined will execute when it's uncomfortable, inconvenient, and unexciting. Discipline is a decision, not a feeling. It's a choice you make daily to move in the direction of your purpose, regardless of how heavy it feels. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't ask for approval. It just acts. And the more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. Discipline is like a muscle. It grows through resistance. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the flame that keeps burning. You don't need more sparks. You need to keep the fire going long after the spark dies out. That's how lasting success is built. Not in a flash of excitement, but in the slow burn of repeated effort. Motivation can get you started, but only discipline will keep you going. Discipline builds routines. Discipline builds systems. Discipline turns goals into results by breaking them down into daily actions repeated with excellence and intention over time. Motivation is external. It often comes from watching others, hearing a speech, reading a quote. Discipline is internal. It comes from your values, your standards, your decision to be better. When you live by discipline, you're not waiting to be pushed. You push yourself. Motivation will lie to you. It will tell you, today's not a good day, let's do it tomorrow. It will tell you, just one break won't hurt. But discipline tells the truth. Discipline says, every decision matters. Discipline says, what you do today shapes who you become tomorrow. If you only act when you're motivated, you'll be inconsistent. And inconsistency kills progress. You'll always be starting over. You'll never gain momentum. But when you build discipline, you start stacking wins. Small wins that turn into major victories. Quiet wins that build unshakable confidence. Discipline demands more from you.